Hi everybody, so today I thought I'd do a bit of a video about top tips to remember when you're handling horses. Some of them obviously you guys that have your own or whatever will know and will do on a daily basis, but some of it has been really useful for me with Tommy since I've had him, which is like 2.5 years. I can't believe it. Can you believe it? It's amazing. Is it amazing? Now, I don't have much experience of handling aggressive, nasty horses, but by that I mean horses that have been so badly treated that they have ended up like that. I don't believe for 1 minute that horses are naturally like that. Tommy is one of the ones who, having been badly treated, went inside himself and was very nervous and very quiet. So I don't know whether all of these things would work with a horse that's particularly aggressive towards people. So just like a little disclaimer, is that the word? About that. Anyway, I think one of the key things is being confident. Horses always know if you're nervous of them. That works on the ground or when you're riding. They just have, they're very tuned in, and so they do know if you're unsure. So you do have to be confident, not forceful, not aggressive, just confident that you know. So if you're leading them, you know where you want to go, and if you want them to stand, then that's where they're going to stand. And you don't walk up to them really gingerly and frighteningly. You go up quietly but confidently. So as I say, don't be aggressive, and also don't be noisy. Certainly with Tommy, that was the key thing, was any sudden big noises frightened him. He's a lot better now, but until you know a horse, you don't want to be noisy. You don't want to shout and jump up and down and drop things that make a big noise, because they jump, that's in their nature, that's their fight or flight response, because they're a prey animal. Obviously the first thing they're going to do is worry that it's something that's going to hurt them. So their first initial reaction generally is to run away if they can, which is certainly your reaction, isn't it? So it's also important to be quiet and make all your movements slow and gentle. Certainly with a nervous horse, you don't want to just suddenly go up and grab them over the eye or by the ear or something. You want to do everything nice and quietly and gently. And if you're going to the back of them and they're not sure, then keep your hand on them. Then they know where you are at all times. You're still listening where I am, aren't you? You're a good boy. He's waiting for his treat. That is why he's standing here and he's not eating his hay. Once he's had his nighttime treat, he will go and eat his hay, which Basil and Chesney are doing. You're funny, aren't you? You're funny. So another thing to remember is horses are willing to learn. As long as you're consistent, they will learn. They will learn to the response that you want from your voice command or your reaction or action to them. Hey, good boy. So they learn that when you open the stable door, they need to move back if that's what you want them to do. And like Tommy has learned about picking up his feet, because I always do them in the same order, and that was with all of the horses. By the time you get to the fourth one, and sometimes by the second one, they're picking their feet up for you, and that does make life much easier, doesn't it? So that's the thing about being consistent, and as I said, they're always willing to learn. They like to follow. Most of them like to have a leader to follow, whether that be another horse or a person. Tommy will sometimes follow me up the field. I'm not sure if that's the same thing, but you will sometimes, won't you? Yes, you are lovely. You do have to allow them time to work things out, don't you? I find, or I have noticed over the years, that people sometimes expect the horse to pick their feet up straight away. Well, they need to sort their legs out so they can do that. But really on another level, they need time to work things out. So if you put some new poles on the floor in a different order or something, they may want a minute to work out how the best way is to walk over it. They may not just be able to get it like that if they've never seen anything like that before. Okay. So you do have to give them time. Don't force them. They'll often do stuff in their own time, and you'll get a way better result than if you force them to do something. And that's certainly the approach they seem to take with the police horses, who obviously are used to all sorts of noises and things. You always need to make sure your body language is saying the right thing, or saying the same thing as you want it to say. So you don't want to have an aggressive body language. You always want to be quiet. And when I first met what's your name? I'm forgetting your name. When I first met Tommy, it was important to not have an aggressive stance towards him. So I tended to keep my arms down and my head a bit low and my shoulders sort of turned round from him, because he was quite nervous if I went up to him sort of almost with my arms out. He felt that was an aggressive move and that would frighten him. Obviously he's a lot better now. He's a little bit nervous today. I'm not quite sure why. Hey, this is not normal, is it? What am I doing? Hey, you're funny. There's some funny noises going on outside. I don't know what it is. Be gentle as well. Just nice and gently when you touch them. Nice and gently, nice and slow. Do everything nice and slowly, hey? So they know where you're going to put your hand next. And then you don't have all these troubles touching them. Hey, it's a good boy. And a good thing, always start and end every encounter with a horse on a good note. Make sure it's a positive experience at the beginning and at the end, even if you have a little rocky minute in the middle. Okay? Yeah. Like when you're schooling, I guess. Hello. Always end on a good note. But it's also important to start on a good note as well. Isn't it? Hello. Hello. So I often give him a little scratch on his favourite place, which is down on his chest, as he likes that. And as you know, the last thing I do before I leave them in the evening is they have a little treat. Bribery often works the best. Okay? Good boy. So that's my little video for today. Me and my little friend Tom, who is just such a lovely pony to look after now. Are you a joy? Mostly, say. Mostly. Thanks. And then he knocks me around the head. That'll be a good way to finish, wouldn't it? Anyway, thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye.